It is a Friday, the 28th of April 2023. We are counting down to the end of April. It is glad that you have made it this far in April of 2023, because I know some of our brothers and sisters have not been able to make it this far. That is the reason why this morning we are saying thank you to the Lord for giving us this opportunity to be alive. Yes, you heard that. I am your host this morning for the breakfast show, Prudence Chota, and we will be having a wonderful discussion between now and the time our program will come to an end. Yesterday, the president was addressing some of his presidential task force, which was comprising of some ministers and, of course, some permanent secretaries. And yesterday, President did speak from his heart. Even before he started to address, he told the people he was addressing to say, I'm not going to read the speech, but I'm going to speak from my heart, because what I'm trying to communicate is something that is coming from my heart. So this morning, the question we are asking is, what is your take with regards to the directive by the president that all government VX motor vehicles that have been bought since the UPND took over office should be sold? According to the president, they did agree that when this government forms office, there will be prudent utilization of resources, but the president says what is seen is opposite from what the argument was. So this morning we are asking, what is your take with regards to that? So before I bore you with a lot of talking, we are going to directly go into our morning boost where we exercise. If you are unable to do that during this particular time, you can do this in your own time, because the breakfast show is recorded on our Facebook page. You will see it after this program. It is being streamed live, and immediately the program comes to an end, this particular segment will be available on our Facebook page. So you can just come to this particular segment and you can exercise with your family, with your loved ones, or alone. Camnet TV cares for you. That's why we bring you morning boost in the comfort of your home. So wherever you're watching us, thank you so much for tuning in to Camnet TV. So right about now, let's go directly into the morning boost. That is all we could accommodate on the breakfast show with regards to that segment where we exercise in the morning, in the evenings, in the afternoons. There is no limit to the time you can do that exercise. But what is important is to ensure that we keep our bodies healthy by exercising. Exercising is very, very important. I think this is one part we ignore. You know, growing up, I used to think the only people who exercise are the whites, because usually they are the ones who would see doing jogging, doing running, doing this and that. So we used to think this is just something which is prestigious to them. But actually, exercising should involve every one of us. If we don't do that, please, let's get our foot and let's get to exercise. So that is what we could accommodate on that particular segment. And right about now, also, we are going to see what is it that the doctors have for us on the Doctor's Corner this morning. Let's hear this.
Good morning and welcome to the Health Corner here on the Breakfast Show. I am Dr. Nakubiana Mufaya. So this week we have been talking about depression, and depression is a condition that usually affects our mood. It affects how we feel and how we respond to our environment. So we talked about how depression comes about because it comes about through either you inherited condition from your relatives or your parents or your grandparents, or it could be because of certain hormones that are not balanced in the body, especially mothers who have just delivered or who have just had a baby, and so they might have postpartum depression, or mothers who have gone through menopause and they are having hormonal imbalances. Then it could also be a result of having insufficient amount of chemicals in the brain, such as serotonin and dopamine, that are very important for transmitting information in the brain. And so if you're lacking in sufficient amount of these chemicals, then you might have depression. So there are other risk factors that we talked about, such as going through a traumatic experience in your childhood or in the past. It can lead you to have depression. And people also who have personality traits, or certain personality types, such as melancholy, or people who are always pessimistic or having low self-esteem, can lead to depression. Then people who also abuse alcohol can easily get depressed or have depression. So it's important that we look out for our families who might be abusing alcohol, because they might easily go into depression. Then people who have chronic illnesses like having diabetes, hypertension, or a stroke, they might also get depressed very easily because of the situation that they are in, and so they might feel overwhelmed in terms of managing the condition that they have. Then we discuss some of the symptoms. We say that depression can usually present as people who are having low mood, or a depressed mood, or a sad mood for a very long time, about 2 weeks or more than 2 weeks. Then they might have loss of interest in activities they used to enjoy before. They might also have low concentration when it comes to their work or to their school. They might have slow thinking. They might either be sleeping too much or not sleeping enough, eating too much or not eating enough. They might be fatigued and just feeling overall tiredness. Then we talked about the diagnosis and treatment, and we say that when it comes to diagnosis, people who have depression would be asked certain questions, and based on their responses to those questions, they might be diagnosed with either depression or any other type of mood disorder like bipolar. They might have anxiety or a phobia that they might be experiencing, such as social phobia. So depending on the type of condition that you might be having, you'll be able to receive treatment based on that. As as for depression, there are certain medications that are used to treat depression, and we call these medications antidepressants. So there are different classes, and depending on the condition or how severe it is, they might recommend certain drugs for you to take at home to help boost or increase the neurotransmitters such as the serotonins, these neurotransmitters that help to transmit information and just help to keep the brain balanced and help you to have the good mood or good feeling in the body that can help to prevent you from having depression and come out of the depression that you're having. Then there are other therapies as well that help to deal with depression, such as psychotherapy, cognitive therapy, behavior therapy, where you talk to a counselor or a psychiatrist who are trained professionally to deal with mood disorders or mental health disorders. So they will help to uncover certain things that you might not really understand and just help to change certain behaviors or adopt new habits and new behaviors that will help to get you out of the depression and prevent you from having relapses in the future. So today we'll talk about the prevention and some of the complications. So under complications, people who have depression can easily start abusing alcohol and start abusing drugs. So drug abuse and alcohol abuse can either lead to depression or even be a result of somebody who already has depression. So it's important that you take people who are abusing alcohol or substance abuse to see somebody who is trained, a psychiatrist, a counselor, who are trained to help these people come out of this abuse that they might be experiencing. So it could be a result of the depression, or it could be it could result them to have depression. Then people who have depression also can tend to have other illnesses. So they might either have chronic illnesses like hypertension, diabetes, because of their because of them not having good eating habits, where they're not eating well, whether they are eating too much of sugary foods and foods that are not good for their body. So they might end up having diabetes or hypertension and all these other chronic illnesses because they're not taking care of themselves very well because of their mental state at that time. So this can be a result of them having the depression, and either they already had depression before they got the diabetes or hypertension, or the diabetes and hypertension can just be worsened because they're not taking care of themselves very well. So the other complications that may arise is that they might have loss of esteem, and they might have difficulties maybe relating to their family members or relating to their friends or relating to their spouses, and just having good relationships with others because of the depression that they might be going through. So they might have poor relationships, and so it's important that you keep these people very close and just encourage them to form good relationships with others, to talk to other people and not to isolate themselves all the time. And it's important that you check up on such people very often so that they don't feel alone and feel isolated. So how can you prevent yourself from having depression? So if you already have depression, it's important that you understand exactly how to treat or how to go about dealing with this condition. So you need to know that you can get help anytime that you feel you are having these depressive symptoms. So you can easily go to the doctors at the hospital and talk to somebody that can be able to help you and even start you on treatment. So it's important that you seek treatment early and prevent the symptoms from being severe, so that you can be able to treat it very early and just help to live a better life. Then the other thing that you can do is talk to people around you, talk to those that you trust, your friends, your family, and just form good relationships with others so that you can be able to prevent yourself from having these relapses and prevent having suicidal ideations, because it's very easy to start thinking about suicide when you are alone. So it's important that you find spaces where you can be able to reach out to people, talk to people, and let them help you, keep you busy, and keep you out of those depressive episodes. So these are ways that you can prevent yourself from getting depression. Talking to people, and also getting therapy early. So if you have depression, make sure you go to the hospital and just talk to somebody, or get therapy, get treatment as soon as possible. So these are the things that we're talking about this week. I do hope you have learned something. Make sure you watch again next week, as we'll be talking about some other topic. If you have missed any other episodes, you can watch them on my YouTube channel at Dr. Nakubiana Mfaya. Or if you have any questions, you can reach out to me on Facebook at Dr. Nakubiana Mfaya. I'll see you again next week. Take care of yourselves. Take care of your family. God bless, and stay healthy.
There you have it. That was the doctor this morning talking about depression and how you can prevent that. I know this particular topic has been something of great concern, and it is something that we don't take serious in this country. Most of the time when someone is going through depression, you know what we usually do? We begin to laugh at them instead of being a solution, instead of helping them. There the doctor was saying, if you realize that someone is having depression, the best you can do is be close to them, regularly check on them. This is what will help someone not have those thoughts that comes with depression. You've seen we've got an increase in the number of people committing suicide, and maybe we've been asking, why is there an increase? No, people are suffering, no, they don't have food, they don't have this, but depression can be caused by a number of things, and the doctor there has encouraged us, let's keep checking on our friends, our colleagues, our family members who are suffering from depression. Instead of laughing at them, we can actually be a solution. Number of factors there she's mentioned that contributes to depression. And sometimes people respond differently. Others become addicted to alcohol, to drugs, and stuff like that. So when you see someone starts going through such a stage in life, let's be there for them. Let's be close to them. Let's speak to them. Let's hear what they have to say. Let's offer solutions where we can, rather than mocking them, laughing at them. And this time, people do not want to come out when they are faced with depression, because they do not know how society will react out there. They do not know how their family will react out there. So they keep this pain inside of them, and before we know it, we lose a life. Every life is important, and when our colleagues are going through these factors, let's ensure that we check on them. Powerful topic there the doctor gave us this morning. Even right about now, we are going to go into our money market to see how is it that our local currency, the kwacha, is performing against other major convertibles. There you have it. That is our foreign exchange for this morning. The Zambian kwacha there against the Great British Pound is buying at 21 kwacha 88 ngwe and selling at 22 kwacha 31 ngwe. The Zambian kwacha against the United States dollar is buying at 17 kwacha 58 ngwe and selling at 17 kwacha 92 ngwe. It has slightly depreciated over the past few days. I remember 17 kwacha 1 ngwe. It went as low as that, but we are within those range. So the Zambian kwacha again against the euro is buying at 19 kwacha 33 ngwe and selling at 19 kwacha 71 ngwe. The Zambian kwacha against the South African rand is buying at 0.96 ngwe and selling at 0.98 ngwe. So that is the money market for this morning. Kwacha against other major convertibles. That is the performance of our local currency. And then We know when your local currency has not been performing quite well, when you do not have resources in the economy, a lot of factors begin to happen. Issues to deal with inflation rate. I know this one has been a topic of discussion for most people. And as others predicted to say, if we continue seeing things the way they are, where the debt situation has not been concluded by our creditors, we continue seeing fuel going up, there's a probability that the inflation rate in the country is going to go up. And true to that, yesterday, the Zambia Statistics Agency did hold their monthly bulletin where they do announce how the country is performing. And according to Zamstat interim statistician General Mlenga, the inflation rate has hit 2-digit numbers. This is the first time this is happening in 9 months since I think last year in April, when we saw the currency, when we saw Kwacha performing better, we did also see inflation rate go to a single digit. And remember, government is targeting inflation rate to be between 6 and 8%. And we were almost going there, but a number of factors have now contributed to our inflation rate going up. So Zambia's annual inflation rate for the month of April has hit 2-digit numbers for the first time in 9 months. Zamstat statistician General Mlenga says the inflation rate rose to 10.2% from 9.9% recorded in March this year. Mr. Msepa says the increase in the annual inflation rate is due to movement in prices of selected non-food items such as household appliances, which includes refrigerators and cookers, as well as the purchase of motor vehicles. Meanwhile, the national average retail price of a 25-kilogram bag of breakfast meal increased by 5 kwacha, 11 ingwe, from 193 kwacha to 203 kwacha, while the price of the 25-kilogram bag of rela meal increased by 4 kwacha, 13 ingwe, from 120 kwacha to about 167 kwacha. Mr. Msepa also says the country recorded a trade deficit of 2.8 billion kwacha in March of 2023, compared to a surplus of 8 billion kwacha recorded in February of 2023. So that was the Zambia Statistical Agency giving us an update there yesterday. Inflation rate is now going to 2-digit numbers. This is what we've been avoiding since the UPND took over office, but things seem not to be going in our favor. Remember, the currency depreciated the highest last month, and during this period we saw kwacha even go as far as 21 kwacha against $1. We've seen it appreciate, and we are hoping this appreciation will trigger to other factors such as fuel. I know there was an increase in fuel for a couple of months this year, and last month we did see a slight reduction. And if we see a reduction even this month, there is a probability at the end of the month we may see our inflation rate maybe going to a single digit again. But as it stands, it is hit 2-digit number, and we know other factors that have been included are the fact that we have not restructured our debt. There is no liquidity in the economy. In as much as we say that, on the other hand, we've seen the kwacha is appreciating, meaning there's something that is happening. And then also we saw a 25-kilogram bag of meal has actually gone to 202 kwacha in most stores. And also the prices of non-food items like refrigerators and cookers, as well as the purchase of motor vehicles, were the leading contributor to the country's inflation rate to go up. But we know these expenses sometimes come as a result of your local currency not performing well over a particular period of time. So you'll find that those who are importing things into Zambia, it becomes expensive. And then on the other hand, we recorded a trade deficit. When we talk about recording a trade deficit, what are we talking about? When a country imports more than they've exported, that difference, the gap, is what we call a trade deficit. So when we export more than we've imported, we record a trade surplus. So this month, we recorded a trade deficit of about 2.8 billion kwacha, meaning we imported more than we exported. And remember, when you import more in your country, you put pressure on your local currency, you put pressure on the price of commodity out there, because when your local currency is not performing well and you import more, you will expect things to be expensive. So I'm sure this has been also contributing to the increase in the country's inflation rate. But this morning, the question we are asking you, the viewer out there, is what is your take with regards to government, or rather President Hakainde Hichilema's announcement that all government VX motor vehicles that were purchased since UPND took over office should be sold? Should we take that step? Remember, when a vehicle leaves the showroom, it leaves the market, the price reduces. So is it a loss on the part of we as a country, or is it a welcome move? Maybe perhaps that resource can be used to be invested in other sector. That's what the president was saying. We need more money to sponsor free education. We need more money to, sponsor the agriculture sector. We can't continue seeing people buy these VX motor vehicles. So what is your take with regards to that? So we are also going to zoom into the stories that made headline. And that particular one we are discussing this morning is one that made headline yesterday when the president was addressing his presidential delivery unit. This is comprising of ministers and their permanent secretaries. So let's get to see what the president said in the news yesterday. In an effort to ensure prudent utilization of the country's resources, Zambia's President Hakainde Hichilema has directed the Secretary to Cabinet, Patrick Kangwa, to sell all government VX motor vehicles bought through request by some government officials since the United Party for National Development, UPND, took over office. Addressing the Presidential Delivery Unit leadership at a workshop in Lusaka that was comprising of cabinet ministers and their permanent secretaries, among others, the president says most of those holding public office have forgotten why they were appointed to those positions, as they are failing to deliver according to the expectation of the people who voted for them.
That expenditure, extravagance is not part of us. What do I see? You are still applying to buy new VXs. Secretary of Cabinet, anyone who has bought a VX in central government, in local government, in quasi-government institutions, yesterday I was in the IDC board. I would like an instruction which will be followed up to bring out those VXs, put them in the market and sell them. Anyone who bought a new VX after we formed government.
The president has also reminded the cabinet ministers not to focus on traveling, but on delivering in their respective ministries.
Some ministers, they are perpetually traveling. Then you check the deliverables, but you should be ashamed to fill in a form to president to allow you to travel before you've done your basics that you need to take care of in the office. Same with permanent secretaries. Can we change? We should change the culture. Work is not 8 hours to 17 hours. No, I disagree. I was never brought up like that in the profession. Work is ticking off deliverables.
And the president has announced that Zambia's creditors are today, Thursday, the 27th of April 2023, meeting to deliberate on the country's debt, and is hopeful that if all goes well, stability will be restored in the country.
Myself, I've been calling presidents in the night to make sure that the official creditor committee meeting takes place today, Thursday today, and not in May. Because my mind is clear. If we don't take out this debt overhang, it will be very difficult to restructure this economy. So it's one of my personal deliverables as head of state. So you should have your own personal deliverables.
For now, all the president wants to see is work, work, and work. Prudence Chota, reporting for Camnet TV News. Have it. That was the president addressing the delivery unit yesterday. It did say quite a number of things. Some we couldn't even manage to accommodate them on the news, but very important submissions there. The president was appealing to those holding public offices, reminding them that the reason why the people went early in the morning to vote for the UPND and usher them in office was due to the fact that the the environment around was not conducive and people wanted change. And if they voted for us for change, people need to feel the impact. But is concerned that some of these holding offices are not doing what they are supposed to do. They are, of course, going in offices to enjoy their coffee and requesting for expensive VX vehicles at the expense of delivering. So it was appealing to them to say, no more VX vehicles. All those that have been sold, all those that requested for these vehicles, can we have them sold? Instead, you can request for a Prado, you can request for other vehicles, but why is it that you just want these expensive vehicles? So that was the president speaking. He also cautioned them when it comes to traveling. He said, most of you are ever requesting that I sign for you to travel, while you do not check what is happening in some of these, your offices. Work is not moving because maybe the heads of those departments are busy traveling. So the president cautioned them against that. He did caution them on a number of things, among them lack of not coordinating. It's like they are not coordinating, they are not working together. The president spoke to the aspect of unity. You cannot deliver if you are not united. We need to be each other's keeper, brother's keeper, each other's watchmen and women. That was his message yesterday. So I know a lot of people have been commenting over this particular issue, and this morning we are asking you a question. What is your take with regards to the directive by the president that all VX motor vehicles should be sold? I saw some comments yesterday where people were saying these vehicles have been bought and once they leave the showroom, it will be a loss on our part as a country. For those who've bought, leave them, then going forward, ensure that no one buys those vehicles. Others were saying, no, it's only a propaganda. You know, it's just a pronouncement that will not even yield results. So what is your take with regards to that particular story that we carried out in our news yesterday? And then also, the president spoke about something really important with regards to Zambia's creditors. Yesterday, actually, they were meeting to deliberate on Zambia's debt. And today, the finance minister, Dr. Situmbe Komsokotwane, is holding a symposium at Mulongoshi Conference Center from 09 hours to 12 hours. And we are hopeful that this symposium will give us some of the highlights of the meeting that they held yesterday. Remember, if this process does not come to an end, if Zambia's debt is not restructured, the president himself did mention to the creditors to say, if the first quarter elapses and nothing happens, there is a probability that all the gains we've made since we came into office will amount to nothing, will be tantamount to nothing. That was the president speaking. And so it was appealing actually to the creditors to ensure that this process is concluded. They were supposed to hold this meeting next month, but the president intervened and requested that the meeting be held yesterday. And true to that, the meeting was held. So we are hopeful that during this symposium today, the Minister of Finance is going to give us a brief update about what the meeting was about. Then interestingly, also in our news yesterday, we did carry a story of a woman named Annie Chilombela from the Copper Belt, who has been left traumatized after she discovered that a grandchild she has been sponsoring here in Lusaka is actually not there. So this is a story where a woman tells a family that she's expecting their son's child, and then during that process she relocates to Lusaka. And then the family says, okay, because you don't want to settle with my son or our child, we are going to sponsor the child that you're going to have. So this woman has, for a particular period of time, been soliciting money from the family on the Copper Belt. And when they came to Lusaka now to finally see their child, they discovered that there is no child. And this woman and whoever they were working with were on the run. But luckily, police did manage to apprehend this woman. But the person she was conniving with in swindling this particular family is nowhere to be seen. So that story made headline in our news yesterday. And let's just zoom it in to see what I am talking about.
They say life is a wonders complex that never ceases, and sometimes things are not just unbelievable but unimaginable, as a Copper Belt-based woman has been left traumatized upon discovering that the child, supposedly her grandson, never existed, but it was just a game played by Purity Mulenga, who was allegedly parading someone's child to extort money from the family of a man who impregnated her. Miss Mulenga has since been arrested.
Bana Jonas tukunaomba tumilako phone nje beli yawe bana Jonas phone yabo taile fika asinane wile ndesha isha phone itaile station itaile bathrough nati okay so nomba efyo nomba ine twalele paisa pitana kaili amadezi fya nono na shida mfomwana wanja isa ulubile kuma 23 hours ba phone alela nda pa phone awo bamudala mwinjipa ilo omwana bamudala mwinjipa ilo omwana omulumendo ewe nebelyawe nalaipa shani omwana wenu ine uyu mwana kashali kunganda kumwanzi kwa nomba omwana nisha mushire kwiso uyu mukashana purity ashire kwiso omwana atawe uyu mukashana takwata po omwana.
And this is the house where Mrs. Chilombela came to see a purportedly grandson and named him Jonas.
Omwana omwaume uyo mwana chachine na photos na alikopere na photos ninkwata mu phone fiance fina bana kulwa bene bapano pene panganda bale itokwe bati banyi na wamukashana bapokelele na fiance so nomba uli omwana ineneshina nalinike alipano pene panganda.
And Mrs. Chilombela's family has expressed shock that the child they have been supporting is not their relative but was being used to extort money from them.
Nipokelera kwa beni abaumfeni fo baba londurere ara batire purity takwata po mwana purity fumwa kwetera fuminena de na kopa beoti diari ona ikapama months ali 6 months ifumo na mwana kwa posta tatwa ishiva namba ngoyo mwana balebo mfyo ko bati purity ali kwata mwana wabana ni purity alebo mfya vyabufi abo bana kulunga pono pene panganda kanshi bali ninkama na purity no yo wino mwana na photos aya ninkwata aya uyo wino mwana ifoto ale tumine fintu so apo kwandi kubasenda kuisaisa pono bana kulubantu baishesa ngati naba butukange fifine malo twaishiresa twasanga titabalipo.
She has since vowed to take legal action on Purity and another woman who for now is only identified as Vanakulu in order to deter who would be offenders.
Bali ubumufyewo balebe kwa basokolo kemwe bantu bakwalesanga balalila abantu abo bene ebo balila lero teine ine nala abasuwinga ngakuba kakisha ndeba kakisha batyo bachita kakisha mwishi bakozi na kulubandona bapano likuluku.
Before broadcast time, our efforts to get the views from the Zambia Police Public Relations Unit could not materialize. Patrick Soko, Camnet News.
There you have it, an interesting story there that we aired in our news yesterday, where a woman identified as Purity has been swindling a family on the Copper Belt, telling them that she has a child belonging to their son, and they've been sending support for quite some time. And then, you know, they say you can hide something but not forever. Secrets will one day be exposed, and this is what happened. One time, the owner of the child called because he wanted to find out rather how his child was doing, and then another man picked up the phone, and when she said, "I want to talk to Purity, why are you with Purity? Where is the child?" The man was shocked. He's like, "Purity doesn't have a child. What are you talking about?" He said, "No, Purity has my child, and we've been sending support." And the man said, "I'm with Purity right now, and Purity does not have a child." So this prompted the family from the Copper Belt to actually come to Lusaka to see for themselves, because they were receiving pictures of their grandson, purported grandson, but it was only discovered that this is a neighbor's child and not belonging to Purity, and a woman she has actually been living with. So now the family is demanding legal action against these people who swindled them resources, pretending to have had a child, or rather their grandchild, when in the actual sense not. And this woman says, "I am a business lady, you know, I struggle a lot to make money, and I've been sending money to this woman so that my grandchild cannot lack, only to come to Lusaka and realize that it's actually a scam." So she's planned to take legal action against that family. Quite an interesting story. I know we've been hearing this has been happening, but we didn't actually have one particular instance to make reference to, and we actually have one there. So that is one of the stories that made headline in our news yesterday, and the question we are asking is, what is your take with regards to that? And then on a sad note, criminals have vandalized a Zesco transformer and went away with cables, leaving several households with without electricity in Lusaka's Maplot area in Mutendere of Munali constituency. You know, this particular incident saddens me because when someone decides to steal electricity cables, you are killing thousands of people. You are killing a number of people. Because at that particular time, you might not know how someone needs that electricity. You are putting a lot of lives at risk. Other businesses rely on electricity. Others just do small businesses where they sell, for example, sausages. But imagine if Zesco cables have been stolen. It means your sausage will not be in a freezer. They go bad. Your capital, everything will go to waste. And that family will begin to suffer. Remember, we also had an incident last month where someone wanted to steal a transformer at the university teaching hospital. Honestly speaking, how can you risk thousands of lives, your family, your relatives, your brothers and sisters who are on oxygen? Remember those premature babies who are in those incubators. Immediately you steal that transformer. When those that power is cut, all those lives are wasted. How can we continue living like that as a country? We need to be each other's keeper. The president did mention that, but we've seen cases of vandalism have actually continued. So we did visit this scene in Mtendele Maploti, and the incidence is really sad. We shouldn't continue doing this as a country. This is backwardness, and if we want to develop, we cannot continue to do this. If someone has the audacity and the power to do that, I'm suspecting this is a person with 2 legs and 2 arms, because someone who has no hands cannot do that. But these are people who are energetic, who are youths, who can use their energy to productive things and make their own money. They want fast money, and now they are stealing these electricity cables, or in the name of making something. This is not right. So the residents interviewed by Camnet News have called on the power utility company to quickly restore power and find a lasting solution to the problem. Others are concerned that there has been a rise in criminal activities in the area due to limited police presence. So that story also made headline in our news, and we are going to just zoom into that headline.
Acts of vandalism have persisted in various communities of Lusaka, with the latest being Mutendele Maplot in Munari constituency. Several houses have been left without electricity as criminals vandalized the transformer. The criminals had serious intentions to steal the cables, which seem to have a very good market, as seen from increased cases of vandalism. The residents have complained over lack of police presence in the area, which they say serves as motivation for criminal activities.
Wakawala bativuta kuno kuma plot. Maka kulibe security kuno kuma plot tavutika maningi. Tipe mpa boma yanganepo ititandizireko kuno kuma plot. Kumtendere east. Maka kuma light so apa banatidulira ntambo za malaiti. Bamakwera ngankale kuma po yonse kudula mantambo za malaiti. So tipe mpako kuti boma ititandizire sure. Security kulibe kuno kuma plot.
Complain yani nayo kuno kuma ploti kuli best security problem mwandi area yatu isibakawala bativutisa maningi chabe paeda chabe pamozi na pamozi bakawala la stigona tibe mtendere tibe peace. So hapa transformer ili hapa ni mwezi kondo yaka malaiti yakondo tivutisa ni mwezi futi anabwera kuba bakawala la boduranda. So tipe mpako chabe simunga muno maploti security chabe batitandize kwa government batuonelepo chabe munga pali komboni yatu ndafamwandi tanzunzika ngani yabakawalala tilibema ukosa kuna minani ndiye vuto chabe anitinayo kuno kuma plot.
They are calling on power utility firm Zesco to find a lasting solution to the problem, as this is not the first time the transformer is being vandalized. They are concerned that the power utility takes too long to attend to emergencies.
Around 01 to 03 in between area of Fiajisa Chitike Fimpimba Shabosa Basenda drum Padilla Baisa Quela Pova Kawala Nawa Kawaringri Majanki Abarikona Bafule Chinechine Tatwike Mumutende Hero transformer yale yakano muriro ngatwalanda wa Zesco tapaife batubutukira pala pite study in 3-4 days nomba if yakuleve tukwete mu fridge fireo naika
Mr. President wakwana baba wakumbantamu walema kutuma phone from morning up to now. They haven't responded. They are just asking same questions which area you give them the area wakafunza miti anamba wapasa wazi wako nokuzi wakati kuli problem ikuwa so bad kuti wabwere chabu wa ZESCO, it takes time, so that's the challenge. So we need wa ZESCO chinja kuma 7Z edwe bantu wakajandaura na problem yani wa face your community wafuni wa respond fast because wamene wali ma shops ma groceries ndio no kama fridges ipi manyumba watu wako ndio kama fridge.
Before broadcast time, we were not able to get a comment from ZESCO. Patrick Soko, Camnet News.
Very sad incidents there in Lusaka's Mutendele plot, where a number of houses have been left in the dark after someone decided, or some people decided, to vandalize electric cables. And of course, this is something that is really sad. It makes me sad, actually. It makes a sad reading to see properties belonging to the community, because that particular transformer does not just serve one person or two people, it serves a number of people. So for someone to decide to do that, it means they have no heart for other people. And as human beings, God created us with a heart full of love. If you love your colleague, you love your friend, you love your neighbor, there's nowhere on earth you would do that to them. Let's be each other's keeper. I know most of the time we rush to blaming ZESCO and the authority for not responding, for not acting, but we are forgetting the actual incidents where someone decides to do that. Remember also, ZESCO might not just at that particular time have what is needed to come and restore this problem. They'll also need to make a purchase, and it takes a lot of time. So businesses are getting disturbed, families are getting affected because of continuous vandalism. Time and again, the authorities have called to an end to this, but we do not seem to stop as a country. So just a tip, in the communities where you are, if you see anything unusual or suspicious, please let's report. Like for example, you see a particular place where they are buying cables. You've come across that information. If you cannot directly go to the police, just send us a message on our Facebook page and we will go on the ground to investigate. If you're unable to get to us, I know we've been receiving quite a number of complaints from people to say you've not been responding to your phone lines. Yeah, we apologize for that. We're just having a little bit of an issue. But if we do not respond to your call, please send us a message on our Facebook page. It is easy and faster for us to respond. When you send us a message, also attach your phone number so that when we read that particular message, we might be able to call you. Because usually we've received tips from people and then we send you a message and it takes maybe a day or hours for you to see that particular message. So when you send us that message, just leave us with your number as well and we'll get back to you no sooner than you expect. So let's be each other's keeper. Let's stop vandalizing public properties. Those cables are public properties, serving millions, thousands, hundreds of people. When you vandalize it, you are killing people. Let's be each other's keeper. So ZESCO there, I'm sure you have seen the cry of the community and you will be able to respond as fast as possible. They called ZESCO yesterday, but there was no response to their call. So let's hope ZESCO has responded. We'll try to make a follow-up and make some phone calls to the power utility company to see how best and how quick we can help our brothers and sisters in need. So this is where we actually have to come to a close of the program this morning. For everyone who's been watching Camnet TV, we appreciate you tuning in to Camnet TV. On our Facebook page, I did actually see some people there following us on our Facebook page. We were expecting a guest today, but of course, due to one or two things beyond our control, our guests could not manage to be in studio because they were traveling from the Copper Belt coming into Lusaka, and Lusaka has quite a lot of traffic, and it was unable to make it on set. But we are yet to discuss a very important topic which has not actually actualized. But for everyone who was watching this program, we appreciate your viewership and keep watching Camnet TV. I'm trying to get some of the messages that we received on our Facebook page, but I don't know why I'm unable to do that. Okay, I see. So Loveness Chira there. Good morning, watching from Chingola. Chingola has been actually a keen follower of Camnet TV. I know always on the program we do receive phone calls from the Copper Belt, Chingola to be specific. We appreciate your viewership, but Chingola keep calling Camnet TV, keep watching Camnet TV. For that news item, please just send us a message on our Facebook page and we'll be able to respond. Eric Chanda watching from Lusaka. It's good to know Eric was watching from Lusaka. Thank you so much. And of course, my colleague Innocent Piri IP is watching with you. Thank you so much, my colleague Innocent, for watching. Pan-Africanist. He is a vibrant young man who has been prominent in offering contributions to the country, in keeping the government in checks and balances. If you do not know this one, you need to know him. He is one of our colleagues, a journalist who's defied all odds to ensure that he practices is journalism and professionalism without fear and favor. So that is what we could accommodate on the program today. I was your host, Prudence Chota, from the entire Camnet TV production team. That is Elijah Chifita and Amos Lungo, who of course made it possible for me to be on set this morning. It's bye for now and God bless you.